From the massive Yamato battleship to the deadly Kaiten suicide torpedoes, this is the complete naval catalog of the Imperial Japanese Navy. 60 war machines that challenged the world. Welcome to the definitive guide to Japan's World War II fleet. Let's begin. The carriers. We start with the carriers, the mobile airfields. First, the Akagi, the Red Castle. Originally designed as a battlecruiser, she was famous for her massive downward curving funnel. She led the attack on Pearl Harbor but was doomed by her wooden flight deck at Midway. Beside her, the Kaga. Converted from a battleship hull, she was slower but carried a massive air group and huge 20 cm guns, a relic of old naval thinking where carriers were expected to fight surface ships. The Soryu, the Blue Dragon. Fast and efficient. This was the first Japanese ship designed from the keel up as an aircraft carrier, setting the standard for the fleet. Her sister, the Hiryu, the Flying Dragon, was unique with her island on the port side. She was the only carrier to launch a counterstrike at Midway, crippling the USS Yorktown before going down. The Shokaku class, the Soaring Crane, and the Auspicious Crane. These were arguably the best carriers of the war. Heavily armored, fast, and carrying over 70 planes. While Shokaku was often damaged, Zuikaku became the lucky ship, surviving battle after battle without a scratch until 1944. She was the very last survivor of the Pearl Harbor attack force. Late in the war, Japan improvised. The Taiho was the first to feature an armored flight deck to withstand American bombs. Tragically, she wasn't sunk by bombs, but by a single torpedo that caused a gas leak explosion due to poor damage control. And then, the Shinano, the largest carrier of World War II. Built on a Yamato-class hull, she was a floating fortress designed to refuel other carriers. She was sunk by a submarine on her maiden voyage before she was even fully fitted out. The supporting fleet. The Ryujo, with her distinct flat deck and top-heavy look. The Hyo and Junyo, converted from luxury ocean liners. They were slow but had huge hangars. Junyo remarkably survived the war, often used as a transport to ferry planes to island bases. The battleships. Now, the Iron Giants. The Yamato, the heaviest and most powerfully armed battleship ever built. Displacement, 72,000 tons. Her 18.1-inch guns could hurl a shell the weight of a car over 40 kilometers. She was the ultimate symbol of imperial power, yet she spent most of the war as a hotel before her one-way suicide mission to Okinawa. Her sister, Musashi, was a beast that absorbed an incredible 19 torpedoes and 17 bombs before finally sinking in the Sibuyan Sea. The Nagato, the pride of the pre-war Navy and Admiral Yamamoto's flagship during Pearl Harbor. She was the only Japanese battleship to survive the war afloat, later used as a target for nuclear tests. Her sister Mutsu didn't fall to the enemy, but to a mysterious magazine explosion while at anchor, snapping the ship in two. The Kongo class, originally British-built battlecruisers, upgraded for speed. These were the workhorses. Because they were fast, they escorted the carriers. Kirishima is famous for her night duel against the USS Washington. Hai was the Emperor's favorite transport before being lost at Guadalcanal. And Haruna, the ship American media claimed to sink so many times, she became a legend for simply staying afloat. Desperation led to strange designs. The ISE and Hyuga were converted into hybrid battleships. Their rear turrets were removed and replaced with a flight deck to launch seaplanes. A jack of all trades, master of none. And finally, the Fuso and Yamashiro, famous for their impossibly tall pagoda masts that looked like skyscrapers. They met a tragic end in the Surigao Strait, fighting the last battleship versus battleship action in history. The cruisers. The fists of the fleet. The heavy cruisers. The Takao class, easily recognized by their massive castle-like bridge structures. Chokai led the massacre at the Battle of Savo Island, handing the U.S. Navy its worst defeat in a fair fight. The Myoko and Haguro were the pioneers of the 10,000-ton treaty breakers, fast, heavily armed, and carrying the Navy's secret weapon, the Type 93 Long Lance torpedo. The Mogami. She started as a light cruiser to cheat treaties, then swapped her guns to become a heavy hitter. After Midway, she was rebuilt again into an aircraft cruiser. Then, the Tone and Chikuma. All their main guns were placed on the bow, leaving the entire rear deck free to launch reconnaissance planes. It was a Tone scout plane that was late to launch at Midway, sealing the fate of the Japanese carriers. Leading the destroyer packs were the light cruisers. The Sendai, the Night Raider, designed specifically to lead destroyers into chaotic night battles using searchlights and torpedoes. Later replaced by the modern Agano class. The Yahagi is famous for fighting bravely alongside the Yamato on her final mission, taking multiple torpedo hits to protect the battleship. Warship. A special mention for the Kitakami and Oi. These were torpedo cruisers. Engineers stripped their decks and installed 10 quad launchers. That's 40 torpedo tubes on a single side. They were designed to unleash a literal wall of torpedoes against the American battle line, though they never got the chance to use them as intended. Destroyers. The destroyers, the wolves of the ocean. It started with the Fubuki class, the world's first modern destroyer. With enclosed turrets and heavy torpedo armament, they shocked Western navies and made every other destroyer obsolete overnight. The Kajiro class, the backbone of the fleet. Ships like Yukike's became legendary. They called her the Unsinkable. She survived virtually every major naval battle of the war without major damage, while her escorts were sunk around her. The Yugimo class refined this design further, fighting the brutal battles of attrition in the Solomon Islands. The Shimake's, the Island Wind, an experimental speed demon powered by a massive high-pressure steam engine. She could reach 40 knots and carried 15 torpedo tubes, one of the fastest destroyers ever built. On the other hand, the Akazuki class was built for defense. Armed with rapid-fire 100mm guns, they were designed solely to protect the carriers from American airstrikes. As the war turned against Japan, quality gave way to quantity. The Matsu class were emergency destroyers. Smaller, cheaper, built in mass production to defend convoys. And below them, the Kaiboken, tiny coastal defense ships thrown into the water to desperately fight off the swarm of American submarines strangling Japan's supply lines. Submarines and special weapons. Japan's underwater force was unique. They built the I-400 Sentoku class, the largest submarines of World War II. These weren't just subs, they were underwater aircraft carriers designed to surface, launch 3 Siren bombers, and strike targets as far away as the Panama Canal or the U.S. West Coast. The Type B submarines carried a small scout plane in a watertight hangar. It was one of these I-58 that scored the final major kill of the war, sinking the USS Indianapolis just days after it delivered the atomic bomb components. In the final days, technology turned to desperation. The Kaiten, human torpedo, essentially a pilot strapped into a massive Type 93 torpedo with no way out. And the Shinyo boats, plywood speedboats packed with explosives designed to swarm invasion fleets. The ultimate sacrifice of a navy that had lost its ships. From the technological marvel of the Yamato to the terrifying innovation of the Kaiten, the Imperial Japanese Navy was a force of immense power and fatal flaws. A fleet built for the decisive battle that ultimately sank beneath the waves. Which of these ships is your favorite? Let us know in the comments.